By March of 2017, my addiction to drugs and alcohol had taken me to the deepest, darkest place I'd ever experienced. Although I had become a Christian in 1994, my addiction and the life that I grew up in had such a stronghold on me, it seemed like no matter what I did, it was always there. And even though I felt the presence of God in my life and I loved Him, I couldn't break out of the hold that addiction had on me. In 2013, my dad passed away suddenly of a lung infection, and it was only 6 weeks after I found out that my mom was terminal with cancer. They had given her 3 to 6 months to live. My parents were both in their early 60s, so this was a really brutal hit to my life. My mom passed away 18 months later, and at that point, I truly felt orphaned in my life. I had been in and out of active addiction since the age of 14, but after these life events, I honestly never thought that I would stop. On April 12th, 2017, I was alone in a hotel room. I was broken, suicidal, and I was ready to give up. And that day, God showed up. His Spirit spoke to me, and He told me that this was not where I belonged. This was not where I was supposed to be. Through nothing less than a series of miracles, I ended up coming to Abbotsford to Life Recovery, and my journey to recovery began then, and I haven't used a substance since then. When I was about 6 months sober and in recovery, I was invited to a small group at Transform Central called Friends to Friends. I attended that small group for a few months, and then the leader of the group invited me to the Transform Central Church Christmas party, and I accepted. So when I walked in that night and it was all set up for Christmas dinner, I felt the spirit of family so strong. I was seated between 2 people that I had never met before, members of the congregation, and it was like I had known these people my whole life. The following Sunday, I attended Transform Central Church service, and I've been coming here ever since. Shortly after that, I became a family member. In November 2018, I experienced the worst tragedy that a mother could experience when my oldest daughter passed away just 4 days after her 27th birthday. It took my breath away, and I had to press into God and my faith in a way that I never thought I could. I was only 18 months sober at the time, so the fact that I remained sober is a miracle in itself. A few weeks after she died, I came to Transform for the Sunday service, and it took everything I had just to get in the door. I came in, I sat down, the service started, and I was just sitting there trying not to cry, thinking everybody was looking at me. I didn't hear any of the message that was happening, and I couldn't hold it back. I started crying, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and one of the family members saw this, and when I came out of the bathroom, she was waiting for me. And she grabbed me and she hugged me, and I just fell apart. And I told her that I couldn't be here, I needed to leave. And she just held me and said that I was exactly where I needed to be, with the family that loved me. She stayed with me, she prayed for me, and she held me through that moment. And it really showed me the family that I have here at Transform. In that moment, I knew that for sure this family was holding me. Worship has become a very big part of my life. I grew up in a musical upbringing, but with a lot of abuse. And so I left singing there with all that hurt attached to it. In 2019, I tried out for the Transform worship team. And since then, I have become a worship leader. God has taken all of that hurt and turned it into something beautiful. And now I'm singing for Him. Since then, I've been writing and recording, and my brother and I are ready to put out our second CD. God has just healed all of that hurt for me through worship. Many years ago, a pastor in Grand Forks prayed over me that God would bring people into my life that would lead me to His glory and into His calling for my life. At the time, I didn't read much into it, but now I see it every day. I see it every time I come to a Transform service. I see that prayer answered. When I stand up to lead worship, when I attend services here, I see that prayer answered, and I am full of joy and gratitude for what the Lord can do. Since becoming a member of the Transform Central family, I have been discipled and mentored here, and I have grown from being an infant to an adult in Christ.